So this session is all about playbooks and automation within Sentinel. So the SOAR solution within Sentinel. Sentinel is not just a SIEM solution. We've kind of been focusing on SIEM throughout the whole yesterday and today, but it is also a SOAR solution, which from my perspective, I think is a fantastic feature to have built in, especially because it is integrated, pre-integrated. There's nothing you have to do about it. I mean, you can still have like an external source solution and trigger those solutions externally via the same SOAR that is available here, which is called Playbooks. But it is available within, and it is done in a secure manner. I've seen some horror stories in the field where some of these SOAR solutions are integrated for using things like basic auth, which it's as scary as that sounds. I've actually seen that. So just keep that in mind as we go along, that it is built in, it is integrated, and it's available within Sentinel. So the first thing that is available are automation rules, and you can create them from the automation blade, and you can come here and just create an automation rule. And there's quite a few features that have been added recently. So if you looked at this 6 months ago, it has improved even more, and it will continue to improve even more. You can create an automation rule, name it here, and then you can trigger from when the incident is created, or when the incident is updated, or at the alert level too. And let's just pick incident, and I'm just going to put a test here. And then you can have a whole set of combination of conditions here. And you can pick things like the, if the incident's coming from Defender 365 or Sentinel, you can do things like a specific analytic rule. And let's just pick one here, for example, just so that I can move on. And then you can also do and or conditions. This is something that was not originally available, but it is now. And you can take different actions. And so, yes, you can run a playbook as an action, but you don't need a playbook for every action. And playbooks are logic apps, and I'll go into that in a minute, but I wanted to show you what you can do without even having to create a playbook. You can do things like change the status, change the severity, assign an owner, assign tags, which come in handy for reporting, or add tasks. I'm actually going to do 2 of these so you can actually see this. I'm going to change the status, and then I'm going to maybe automatically close certain incidents, and I'm going to close them with, let's say, and I think the example that I always give is like when you have your red team is doing some testing, you want to, and they'll tell you they're going to be testing throughout the weekend. So maybe you want to close some of these with a, let's see, maybe if it's true, white, suspicious but expected, benign, positive, right? And put your notes in here about what it is that they're doing, and maybe if you have a ticket number or whatever information you have in here. And then you can also set an expiration on that. So if they're doing it only for the weekend, then you could just set, until Monday the 3rd, and then that rule will expire and it will no longer close those incidents automatically for you. So you don't need a playbook to do something like that. Another thing that you don't need a playbook for is adding those tasks. I was showing you earlier in the incidents that you can actually add tasks automatically to an incident, so that, let's say, every time a specific analytic rule triggers, then a set of tasks is going to get created. And I'm going to close this here so that I can show you from actually, you can do it from here. You can attach it to an analytic rule. So let's say I have, do a favor once. I think I have some analytic tool automation attached to some of these Let's just do this one. And I can come from the analytic rule here and do the automation automatically. So I can attach it to, I can create the automation rule directly from the analytic rule. And so this now fills in automatically the analytic rule that I'm doing is going to be for the current rule. And then I can say, actually, I just need one here. I'm going to add a set of tasks and maybe task 1 and add a description. Run step 1 here and then some link. And then I can do another task, that task, and then task 2, whatever the next step is, run step 2 here. And put some links or whatever, information I want to put in here. And then I can apply this, and what that will do, did I name it? I didn't name it. What that will do is that every time that this rule triggers is going to add those tasks automatically for my SOC team. So, and I'll show you how that shows, how that goes into the incidents. So actually, first I'm going to come back. I'm going to just show you the playbooks real fast, and so that you can actually see one of them running. So the other type of automation, which you can actually trigger with an automation rule, but you can do a lot more stuff. Kind of, really, the sky is the limit right here with playbooks. You have logic apps, and that's what we're really going to dig into a minute. What you can do with these types of playbooks. And I have a playbook here called the phishing. This one, I didn't create this one. This one was actually created by the Defender 365 team, and they created this playbook that just basically goes in and, let's see, if it contains specific keywords like phish, zap, remove after delivery, URL click was detected, then it's going to actually add a set of tasks to the incident. I'll show you in a minute how you can go about creating this, because it's pretty straightforward. But first, I want to show you what you can actually see, what you can accomplish with these types of playbooks. So this one was created automatically. It was created by another team, so I can just deploy this in my instance, which is what I did, and I can start making use of this automatic immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and go to one of those incidents, and I think I have this phishing campaign here, since it has phish in the description, and I can run playbooks. By the way, I can create an automation rule from here as well. See, this one is actually going to not only fill in the information about the analytic rule, but it's actually going to add additional information about the IP addresses that were detected in here. So it's going to fill in more information automatically for me. So if I did that here. So I can run playbooks from 2 different levels. I can run, actually 3 different levels now. At the incident level, at the alert level, and at the entity level. If I run it here, it's going to run it at the incident level. So what does that mean? It means that because I might have, and I showed you earlier, sometimes you have 3, 4, 5 different types of alerts, especially when you have those fusion incidents. If I run it from here, then that playbook is only going to run for this alert. But if I run it from here, then it's going to run it for the entire incident. So if I have 3 different alerts, the playbook is only going to run once for the entire incident. And then the other level that I can run the playbook at is at the entity level. And I'll show you another area that you can go to run those playbooks as well. So I'm going to run, actually, first I'm going to show you that there's no tasks associated with this one. And then I'm going to go run that playbook, which is the phishing one. And it ran. And it's running. And it succeeded. So now I'm going to refresh this so that I can see the tasks. So actually, I can already see the tasks here. So I can either click here to see the tasks, or I can click here to see the same information. And this is actually based on a phishing guidance that is on Defender 365. So actually, if you come here, I think it's in here. Just search for it so you can see what it's based on, or maybe not. See here. Can't get the search to work. I don't know why. So maybe it's because it's right here. Phishing. Set microphone, all recommendation. I think it's in. This will send me outside. I was looking for the information that would explain to you exactly what this thing is doing. But let's just go through it. So this, sorry. So this is actually going, by the way, this one got marked automatically as done because it's just an introduction. But if you want to, undo it and then click through this, it gives you some information about how to report phishing messages, and there's the submit information in here. And this is the actual step-by-step guide that you can actually find, supposed to be finding from the other, from the Defender 365 side. But it's available through here. And then they go through all the steps of like contain step, which assets are involved. And by the way, this is obviously just an example for your teams to provide, but you can absolutely create your own set of steps, and and even take this one and modify it and make it exactly do what you need it to do. Because there's a lot more that you can do with playbooks. So this one is just adding tasks, but you can trigger additional things. What I like about this task features is that it does make it repeatable steps that every time, maybe in phishing is just an example, but every time a certain alert takes place, my SOC analysts are going to follow the same set of steps, and I have no doubts that they're going to do the same type of investigation, and they're going to mark these steps as completed. And then if the next, if this goes on, it's a 7x24, and it goes on to the next shift, they are going to know exactly which steps have been completed and which ones have not. And and I can also add additional steps, like as I'm doing this investigation, I discover that I need to do maybe additional tasks. I can also add tasks directly from here. But this is one of those playbooks that is available to you. There's actually a ton of playbooks that are available, and I'm gonna share this in the chat as well. This is our GitHub repository, and it has a lot of, this is just the playbooks. There's actually, if you go up, there's more artifacts, but these are all playbooks that are available. So I always tell my partners, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't go creating something, because there's likely something out there that already exists that does exactly what you need it to do. So just make sure that I would check this first. And this is not the only repository. This is just one that is provided by Microsoft. But there's other community repositories that are also available that have a lot of very useful ones. And I'll share some of them also as I go. There's, so now I'm going to go into one of these playbooks, and I'm going to go into one that I created. Sorry, it's going, my voice is going, I don't know why. I'm going to go into one that I created that is actually is connecting to OpenAI. And before I go into this, I'm going to give a lot of disclaimers. This is, and I'm actually going to go at it from Logic Apps instead of from here. it's just easier for me to navigate to see everything. I created this more as a learning opportunity for myself, and it's a and it is, as you can see, I was just testing to learn, but it's about the possibilities. What is possible with Logic apps? So I'm going to go into, this is the one that I actually kept. I'm going to show you. This is an incident level. So by the way, when you create this playbooks, you have to pick the right trigger. So for example, I picked incident level trigger. So when I go to run this playbook, I'm going to find it only if I run it from incident level. If I try to run this, or which is right there or right here, if I try to run this OpenAI playbook from alert level, I'm not going to find it because it doesn't have an alert trigger. So when you create these, it's still not going to show. When you create this, make sure that you create them with the correct trigger. And maybe I'll create one brand new one from scratch so you can see the whole process on when you create them. There are going to be 3 different types of triggers. One for Sentinel specifically. There's a lot more. There's probably thousands of triggers. But for Sentinel, it would be incident level, alert level, and entity level. And I'll show you an entity level in a little bit. But in this case, this one, and again, I'm going to give very definite warning. This is not, I'm not saying, hey, go out and feed your information about your incidents to ChatGPT, not at all. What I'm saying is this is about learning what is possible and making use of tools such as OpenAI to help out the SOC analyst and to see, so that maybe if one day you would choose to do this with your own Azure OpenAI instance, or maybe with something like Security Copilot, if it has an API, I don't know that it does, then you can integrate with Sentinel in this way. So my example would go out to Sentinel on an incident, and it would say, hey, please provide the first 3 steps to investigate a security incident that has a description. And then I add this description here. By the way, I can just add, it's very easy for me to, if I wanted to put alert description, which is not the trigger for this. Let me discard this. Come back because I just broke it. But if I wanted to add any other kind of information in here, it's very easy for me to just type it in and just add it here. And so I'm saying, hey, and in my case, I wanted to add the tasks, which was the thing that I was showing you earlier. See, this is a card that would add a task, but I didn't want all of the steps to be given at once. I didn't want give me 3 steps, and then if I add a task, it would add it as just one big old task, which is not what I wanted. So that's why I'm telling it. From those 3 steps, I only want to see the first step for now, and then I'll tell you when I'm ready for that. And by the way, what I'm doing here is I left it in. Oh, yeah. I kind of left it in here so you can see what it is that I'm trying to do, even though it's not. This is GPT 3.5, and that one is 3.0. So I just want to make a disclaimer about that. But this is pretty much what I'm doing here. I want to give, I want you to give me the first 3 steps, and then this is the description. And then on those 3 steps, only give me the first one. And then ChatGPT will give me something like, yeah, sure, this is step 1. And then I'll tell it, hey, I'm ready for step 2. And then it'll say, hey, great, this is step 2. And then it's ready for step 3, and then it'll give me 3 steps. And the reason that I wanted to do that was because, again, I wanted to use those tasks so that I could mark them as done, and I didn't have all of these into one big old task. So that's why I'm doing it that way. You can, and I didn't add this yet, but we can add another step where it'll generate, please, generate KQL query that I can use in Microsoft Sentinel to investigate step 2, and then it'll give me some kind of KQL that I can add as a comment, which is another thing that you can do with Logic apps, right? So then and by the way, when I came here, this is a connector which I set up. It is connected to OpenAI. It is connected to it's using an API key. And I wrote a whole blog about it. So if you want to reference step by step what I'm going through here, it's available for you. And then it goes in adds it, and then I wanted specifically the text. So that's why it goes into the choices that are going to be returned to me, and it's going to just pick the text, and then that's the information that is going to put into the task. So this is task number 1. And then it goes through the same thing, step 2, task 2, and then add it, and then task 3, and then add it. And then on the other side is actually doing something else. Again, this is just for my own learning purpose. So I'm saying, okay, so what should the severity be for this incident? And so again, I feed it the description, and whatever the severity is, I want to update the incident. So this time, instead of add task to incident, I'm updating the incident, and I am updating the severity to be the severity that ChatGPT said that it should be. And then I'm also adding a tag because I want to see which incidents the severity was set by OpenAI. So I'm adding a tag to it as well. So I'm going to run this so you can actually get an idea of how this would run here. Actually, I can run it right here because this is phishing, run playbook. And then I'm gonna run, and again, see, I'm running it at incident level because that was the trigger that I created my playbook for. And I think 3A is the one that I had clean. I had so many versions of it because I tried a whole bunch of combinations to make this work because I was learning. So let's see, it's running. And I'm gonna, depending on how much time we have, I'll probably explain to you a little bit more about, making sure that your connections are secure when you're connecting to external APIs. I'm using a Logic App Connector that existed already, so I didn't have to create my own connector for this. It is available in the Logic apps. And did I get stuck here? Hold on, let me see. Okay, so it succeeded. Okay, so I'm going to refresh it. So it was a medium, now it's a high severity. That was because the playbook ran, and look, it added the tag severity set by OpenAI, and then it added the tasks that I added. What did I do? I broke it. Okay, so I had all those old tasks from before, but now I have those new tasks that I requested from OpenAI. So now it's giving me what task 1 should be. I'm technically put a whole bunch in there. So like I said, this is GPT 3, which is not as good as 3.5 and 4. So you still get some, nothing is 100% perfect yet, but you get the idea. And I think you also get an idea of what is possible to do with playbooks and with, as tools become available, how you and your team can start to make use of those tools and integrate them to the best of everything that is available for the team to make use of. Then, so what I wanted to show you in the activity log, that it does keep track of the playbooks that I am triggering as well. So you can actually see that. It also shows me that when the tag was added, the severity was set by OpenAI. So when it was updated, it actually showed, and it also showed me the incident severity was changed to high by that playbook as well. and that it was changed to active. Well, that was another thing that I updated that I forgot to mention, but it is in the part of the playbook. I actually changed the status to active as well. So the other thing that you can do, and again, I'm kind of just showing you what's possible here. I'm going to show you. I have another very, very, very simple playbook. That is all it does. And this is also at incident level. But all it does is it goes out to teams and it updates and it puts a message in the and this one, there's probably a better one out there. This is just something I created. So it's not super beautiful. So this one's just gonna update a chat. In this case, it was a SOC team chat that I chose. And it's going to update it with this information. It says update from Sentinel, and then it'll give me the title, the URL, and the severity. And maybe you don't trigger this for every incident that your SOC team gets, but maybe you choose to trigger something like that for certain incidents, you know, that you want the SOC team to be notified. Okay, so I'm going to also show you that one in action. I've actually logged in. This one was me testing yesterday. This is what it does. So, like I said, it's not super pretty, but I want to show you one triggered now. And maybe I'll run this one as well, since I keep running playbooks from this one. And then I'll run this and refresh. And actually, I saw it come in. I probably should have left it here. But you see this came in here, and it just came in right now at 141. So this is the, and again, there's better ways to do this, to actually make this a link. But this is what it would look like when that playbook is running and I'm bringing in information from that Sentinel Logic app to notify a team that, you know, something that they need to be paying attention for. And in the same way, you know, you can always send an email to a DL. Like I said, the sky is really the limit with the actions that you can do here. I'm gonna create one. Let's do this. Let's just or maybe I should just modify an existing one that I don't care about. This one. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'll explain what this is in a minute so that you can get an idea of why I created this one. Or maybe I'll explain this first. Right. So this is again using a regular trigger. The reason why this one is a custom connector, and you can create your own connector. So like everything that I have been using so far is for example, if I want to update comments in here, all I do is update or Sentinel comment. And then I type that here, and yeah, it has to search through thousands of connectors, but it finds, not only does it find the connector, the Microsoft Sentinel connector for Logic Apps, but it also finds the action that I'm looking for. So I want to add a comment to an incident. And then I just need to pick in here the ARM ID. And then I can put some information in here, and it's pretty easy for me to say, you know, this incident, and maybe fill in the actual incident name. Hold on, I can't see everything here. Here we go. Incident, or maybe let's put something about the entity. Entity, and then specify the specific entities, you know, need to be investigated or something like that. Investigated. So it's very, I just want to show you how easy it is for me to just fill in the information, to add comments through adding these actions directly in here. And then I just save it and off I go. And when I run it again next time, I'll just update with whatever information I put in here. The reason I created this custom one is because I had a partner that needed to, they didn't have, there was some old application that had a REST API, but it didn't have a connector, and it was just not used by a whole lot of people. So they wanted to trigger the creation of tickets in that application, and there was no connector. And by the way, there's a lot of connectors available, so don't take this to mean that there's not enough. In fact, there's actually playbooks in here that trigger, I think, Jira tickets. I have one for Jira tickets and Snow. Aggregate, create, and close tickets. There's all of those already exist. This was a very particular type of application that nobody really uses. And so they had to create, the recommendation was to create their own connector. And the reason is because when you use an API key, if you use just a regular or a regular action like an HTTP call type of action, then your information for the API key is exposed. This is like the generic one, which you could do. You could use to call the connection to the API. But the problem is the information about the login, whatever, would be or all be exposed. Whereas if you create your own connector, then you have the ability to put your connection in a very safe, to store it in a safe manner. And in their case, not only did they needed to call it, but they needed to call it from a customer workspace, because this is an MSSP type scenario. So they created a custom, the recommendation was for them to create a custom connector. And what that does is it allows you to create, or I'm not going to say this, but in this case, this is my custom connector. And so I'm able to store this API connection information. And if you see here, I don't see it. I can't read it. So even if the customer had access to be able to see the API, to see this type of configuration logic apps, they would still not be able to see the API key, which is what we were trying to protect. And then there was another option that they were evaluating using key vaults, but the problem is obviously this is on the customer's tenant, so they have full permissions on that tenant to see any kind of secrets. So this is why the recommendation was to create your own connector. And it's not, I mean, it's not easy by any means, but it isn't a super complex deal and I'll show you where you would go. You would go to Logic App Connector, and I had some issues with this yesterday, viewing this information. Let me see if it's, I did something that I cannot view it, so I'm actually going to show you from a different user so you can actually see what it looks like. Let's log in with this user. Let's see. Awesome. This is my other user. Oops, I'm moving. Blossom. Okay, so Logic Apps Custom Connector, and I'm going to use this custom one. So what you do is you can import the API description, and you can use either an API file, URL, or Postman collection to do that. And then you start, this is what I did to customize it, but then you can also create your connection. See, this is how I specified the connection was going to be an API key. And so that was what was going to be kept. And then I can also specify the actions that I want to be available for this connector. So that is another option that is available to you. And it might not be that you'll ever need to create a custom connector, but I think it's good to be aware that it is available and that it's there. There was some other things. Oh, I mentioned Jira tickets, the creation of tickets. That I didn't create this one. This was actually available in the community. This is a ticket that will go and based on an incident, and I don't have Jira, so that's why this connection is not working. But it can, you can just create, but the connectors are there. And actually, if you see, there's thousands and thousands of connectors. So these are all available, and maybe ticket is probably the one thing that most people use it for. And then ServiceNow is the other one that gets used a lot. If you see the list of connectors, it's quite a bit of them. Service Bus, ServiceNow. ServiceNow. This is the connector. You can create a record, delete a record. There's a ton of things that you can do. And actually for Sentinel, there's a lot that you can do as well. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that it's available for Sentinel. You can add an alert to an incident, add comments like I was doing at the task that I showed you. You can create or update bookmarks too, which we didn't even cover this week, but because there's so much information that it's available. But there's a lot. And like I said, there's 3 triggers now. There's alert, there's entity, and there's incident, which just brings me to the next one that I'm going to show you. You know how Zach was telling us earlier about entities? I'm gonna expand this here. I'm actually gonna run this from another, from one of my customer ones, because I actually have some incidents there for some of these users. So I'm gonna go to entity behavior, and I'm gonna expand this so that I can see Adele and Megan. Let's just take Megan. And I can run a playbook. And by the way, I can run it from where I showed you earlier, where you were investigating the incidents directly, but I can actually come here to that entities plate and run that playbook. And if you see here, I have two for each subscription because I have access, I can see them. But one of them is confirm user as compromised. I'm actually gonna go ahead and run that one and say that Megan is compromised. And this is one update that does take a little bit. I created this one. So this is not, again, like probably the best of the best type of, and I'll show you the run so you can actually see what it's doing. All it's using is this Microsoft Sentinel entity, and then it's going to the specific subscription, and it's going to confirm the user as compromised. And this is the user ID based on the data, because I run it on entity level. So this is the user ID for that user. And that's really all it's doing. And so it goes over to this tenant, and it's actually going to confirm that user as compromised. So if I'm investigating this person, I can run that playbook directly from here and take that action. And I can do the same, to dismiss the user risk. That's another action that is available. So these are actually from identity protection, Azure AD identity protection type tasks that you can do. So that's a whole set of actions that are also available. And I actually I think I confirmed Adele yesterday a few times as compromised. I went back and forth with dismissing it. So I don't know if it's actually showing here. Let's see. Let's download. You can tell that I've been really playing with this user. Oh, it doesn't show here, but it'll show in the logs, the audit logs for that user and the audit logs for the entire. Actually, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll pull up the audit logs from this user on the Azure AD side. Let's do that. Okay. Let's see. I have this here. I'm gonna log in, and I just compromised Megan, right? I think it was Megan. And if I go to audit logs, I should see here, there it is. So this is me, that playbook that I just ran, 152, and it was confirm account as compromised. So I know that it did run. So those are some of the things that you can do with playbooks. All right. The last thing I want to cover is this is a tool, sort of a tool. It's a whole bunch of modules, and I'll put this in the chat as well. This is here. Oh, where do comments show? Yes, that's a good question. I should have covered that. The comments show in the activity log. So if I don't know if I have any comments in here, but if I added any comments in here, they would show here in the activity log. I don't know if I have, this one has any. I don't know if this is the same incident that I was dealing with, but that's where the, oh, so it was the same one that I was playing. If I had added any comments in here, it would add, they would update right here. Okay, so I was gonna show you this tool. This was created by some Microsoft employees, and I think it's an awesome tool. So I want to share it with you. It's a Sentinel Triage Assistant, or STAT, and it's basically a set of playbooks that can gather information on different areas. There's actually different modules, as you can see. They have modules on Azure Active Directory, on File, on Office 365, Sentinel watch list, on a whole bunch of information. And all these playbooks are provided. If you install this solution, it'll come with all these playbooks, which you can use to triage, because this solution focuses. We have a lot of playbooks that do like isolation, disable the user, update watch list, but this one focuses on triage and analysis, which is probably very, very useful to MSSPs. So just wanted to let you know this is not even part of the other repository. This is just a separate repository. There's probably a lot more tools like this one, but just making you aware that this one is already out there, and maybe you can get started with triaging.